Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Everyone can see my screen, hopefully, and you can hear me. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for coming. We have started on time. Just a quick announcement. I'll repeat towards the end of the class as well. I think it will be nice if everyone can switch on their videos. From next time, I think we have to make a sort of a standing rule that if there is no video, they'll be considered no attendance. And also we have to join the class on time. So we will be locking the meeting next week from 10 minutes after we start the class. So in this case, say 7:10 or 4:10. It's just, I think we're requesting devotees, but it's not happening. So it's just 2 hours a week we can give in studying together Prabhupada books, because we really don't know how long we'll survive for 3 years. Hopefully Krishna allows that. But if not, whatever we have studied, that should come with us nicely. And there's not many assignments in this course as well. So it's not much time we are spending outside class. So we request everyone to come on time and switch on their videos so the class can be more interactive and you can concentrate as much as possible. If there is a problem, please message. We all have different days. Every day is different. So please message. That's no issue. But in general, that should be the rule. From next week onwards. Hare Krishna. And repeat that again because many devotees are joining at 8 o'clock as well. So I thought we'll remind everyone to please join on time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Let's start. So we'll go to 271. Would like to do 271, which we have already covered last week. Vijay Gopi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
271. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship is devoid of false ego. He alone can attain real peace. Yeah, here you mentioned that it is a 3-point formula for the peace. So first one is Nishpraha. Nishpraha is giving up all the desires for the sense gratification. That is, they should be free from the desires. And the second point is Nirmama. Nirmama is like the giving up the sense of proprietorship. And the last one is, the third point is Nirahankara, that is without false ego. So once we give up all these things, that is the desires for sense gratification and sense of proprietorship and giving up false ego, he alone can attain the real peace. And you have given the example of, like Ayati Magaraj, and also that, the camel who was just chewing the bushes with the thorns. He actually enjoys his own blood, but it doesn't even know that it is enjoying its own blood. Similarly, we have to give up all the sense gratification. And also you mentioned a very important point about the conditioned soul. The condition is like in the layman's meaning, the condition is enjoyment which is coming from outside. But actually the real meaning of conditioned soul is seeking pleasure from inside. From inside rather than seeking pleasure from the external factors. So these are the points I remember, bro.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. You have repeated probably all the points which we discussed. Thank you. Hare Krishna. We'll go to the next one, which is the last verse of this chapters 2. Very important verse and a good indication. It's a very unique verse in whole Bhagavad Gita, 272. Manmohan Prabhu, would you like to do?
Sure, Prabhu. I don't remember much, but I'll just try.
No problem.
That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered, if one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Uh, so basically, Krishna is saying that this is the way of spiritual and godly life. And if you are situated in this consciousness at the time of death, you certainly go back or come back to me. Uh, there are a few examples who attained Krishna, very easily at the time of death. Like you narrated the story of Khatwanga Maharaj. I think you also mentioned about Jamil. I don't know if you mentioned, but
I can't remember, but yeah, maybe in the discussion we did.
Sure. Yes. And but for us, like we have to practice Krishna consciousness all our life to be able to, attain this state at the time of death. So when we are in that pure consciousness, we can easily go back to Godhead.
Yes. Thank you. So the important word here is vimohyati. So we all get bewildered throughout the life, definitely, but towards the end of the life as well. I think Sam Maharaj was saying, we will only remember those things at the end of the life, which we have practiced our whole life. So if we have, practiced cricket, for example, or football, obviously we'll remember those memories because they have taken major place in our life. So similarly, if we have remembered Krishna throughout our life, we have served Krishna throughout our life. Probability is we will remember Krishna at the end of life. We will not get bewildered by other memories. And I think someone has posted a post today of Radha Govind Maharaj. He was saying when a photographer takes a photo, so whatever at the time of click is your facial expression, that will go into the photo. So similarly, at the time of death, whatever your consciousness is exactly same goes into the next life. So if that moment, Antakale Narayana Smriti, if not there, whatever other Smriti is there, whatever other memories are there, that will go with us. But if Narayan is predominantly present in our consciousness, then we'll go to Narayan. And we will not become Vimuyati. And Brahmi word, anyone remembers? Anyone else can say what does Brahmi signifies here? Rasanand Prabhu? I can't hear you, Prabhu.
Spiritually situated.
Is spiritually situated and more. Yes, you're right. So Brahmi is referring to a female form.
Not
so
on a
is,
material platform.
sorry?
Not on the material platform.
Not on the material platform. Yep, that's correct. Did I discuss this word Brahmi last week? No? Okay. Actually, Jiva Goswami explains this word in his Sandarbhas. So I'm just taking from there. So in his Sandarbhas, he explains Brahma is a neutral gender. So English, we have, feminine gender, masculine gender, and a neutral gender. Similarly, in Sanskrit, what he has done for the masculine gender, he proposes a word Narayan Linga. And for a feminine gender, he proposes Lakshmi Linga. And for a neutral gender, he proposes Brahma Linga. So Brahma is considered not masculine, not feminine. It's a neutral gender. It's a neutral Linga. But here it says the Brahma word is not used. It's the only place in Bhagavad Gita where the word Brahmi is used. And wherever we say Janaki. So Janak Maharaj is the father, Janaki is the daughter. Obviously, Janaki refers to the female, Sita Devi. So here Brahmi refers to the female. So female form, Jiva Goswami refers here that this actually refers to Srimati Radharani. So if you take shelter of Esha Brahmi Sthiti means if you have taken shelter of Srimati Radharani, Nainam Prapimyati, you will never be bewildered. So this is one of the two references in Bhagavad Gita where Radharani is indirectly mentioned. So Jiva Goswami expands this and says this Brahmi refers to actually Srimati Radharani. And we'll see the second reference coming in 9:12 or 9:13. Devim Prakriti Ashritaha. So that verse is also there. That also Devi refers to, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also explains, Jiva Goswami explains that refers to Srimati Radharani. So these are the only two references in Bhagavad Gita, obviously indirect references to Srimati Radharani. So, and the word is actually quite clear. Otherwise, why don't they use the Brahma Sthiti? Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita is used Brahmi. So the Brahmi refers to as Jiva Goswami as Srimati Radharani. So if you take shelter of Srimati Radharani, which again in our day-to-day life refers to, what does Radharani refers to in our day-to-day life? in a simple layman language?
Hare.
Huh?
When you chant Hare, like that represents Radha.
Yes, devotional service. So Radha word comes from Aradhana. Aradhana means devotion to Lord Krishna. So whatever sadhana we are doing, so if we do our sadhana appropriately, then we can take shelter of Srimati Radharani, and by her mercy, we will not be bewildered at the end of our life. So it's a very clear indication of position of Srimati Radharani and position of Jiva in relation to Srimati Radharani and what we should be doing throughout our life. Take her shelter. That means take shelter of devotional service. That means sadhana and seva. So sincerely, if we do that, just this lifetime, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj said many times, you have given so many lives to Krishna. Just give this one life to Krishna. Sorry, so many lives to Maya Devi. You have given so many lives to Maya Devi. Just give one life to Krishna. Now we are in the middle of our life, roughly speaking. Roughly speaking, we are in the middle range. So half of the life is left. And in that half, quarter will go probably in the sleeping and in the hospitals and this and that. So we have very little time left. As per Prahlad Maharaj, we only have for devotion 5 to 8 years left. Honestly, only 5 to 8 years are left. Even if you're in the middle of your life, like me, 40 plus, so not much time is left. So in this little time, if we take shelter of Srimati Radharani, we can go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. In this very lifetime, again, not because of we are qualified, probably most of us are not, but because if we are sincerely performing the sadhana as per our acharyas or Guru Maharaj's instruction, by their blessings, we'll go back to Godhead. Because we are sincerely trying, not that we are qualified, and probably will never be qualified on our own endeavors. It's very difficult. But if we show to our spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, that we are sincerely trying to follow your path given by you, although we are making mistakes, but we are trying, we are failing, but we're still trying, struggling, failing. And eventually Prabhupada will recommend our name to Srimati Radharani. And then Sanatana Goswami says in 10th canto, if Radharani recommends you to Krishna, Krishna cannot refuse. Krishna will say, oh, he's a rascal. Radharani will say, that's all right. You can accept him or her. So Krishna cannot refuse the proposal of Srimati Radharani. So this is actually a very, very important verse in that perspective. Okay.
Sorry, Prabhu. Second verse that you mentioned, which one is it? Referring to Srimati Radharani?
9:12, Mataji.
9:12, okay.
Mahatma Nastu Mam Partha, Devim Prakriti Mashutaha. Is 9:12 or 9:13? You can look up here.
9:13.
9:13.
Mahatmas take shelter, Devim Prakriti Ashritaha. So they take shelter of Devi Prakriti. And Devi here refers to expert Bhaktivinoda Thakur Srimati Radharani. So these are the two verses in Bhagavad Gita refers to Srimati Radharani as per our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas.
9:13.
9:13? Okay, yes, 9:13. Yeah. Okay, let's move forward to the third chapter, which we started last week. Now, before we go to the third chapter, let's look quickly the classification of the third chapter, which I had discussed. We'll just quickly have a quick look again. So this chapter has again 4 sections. So first section is the realization of work or work in devotion. Anyone remembers the Sanskrit words for this? English?
Karma se sannyas and karma mein sannyas.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. So karma se sannyas means chhod diya. I have given up doing my karma or duties. I've given up. And other person, what he's doing, karma mein sannyas. He's still doing his activities, but in a mood of a sannyasi or renunciate. So that's important. So as per our acharyas, as per Bhagavad Gita, the recommendation is you should not quit the work. You should do the work in the mood of renunciation, in the mood of detachment. And that's what we are reading in the first section. Second is, if you cannot do karma yoga, you cannot attach yourself, your activities to Lord Vishnu at this stage, you should do karma kanda. Why karma kanda? Why Krishna is recommending for karma kanda? Anyone discuss this as well?
At least one should not perform vikarma, at least rise to the platform of karma kanda.
Thank you. At least you come inside the Vedic realm. So there's a Vedic canon, the books written by Vyasadeva, given by Krishna. So at least you're following those books. Although you want some result, you want to go to Indraloka, for example, that's fine. There's a particular yajna recommended by Vyasadeva. So you're doing that. So at least you are accepting the authority. That's where you start the journey. Because if you don't accept that authority, what authority you will accept? If you don't accept Vedic authority, which other authority you will accept? Your mind's authority. And where your mind is going to take. One sannyasi I was listening, I can't remember which lecture. Anyway, he said, if you listen to your mind, you go to hell. If you listen to your mind, we're talking our mind, not a sannyasi's mind. You listen to your mind, you go to hell. Simple. I think His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, yes. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj was saying, you listen to your mind, you go to hell. So our mind at this stage is very contaminated. We cannot hear our mind. We cannot hear our mind. We have to hear Shastra. And once we hear Shastra, we try to follow the Shastra, then only our destination is auspicious. Otherwise, not so auspicious. Okay, so you start from Karma Kanda and slowly Vedas are designed in such a way they will uplift you towards Karma Yoga. Now, how do you do Karma Yoga? There's detailed description given in 17 to 35. And the last one is what stops you to do Karma Yoga. Two things Krishna is saying, lust and anger, which he will speak in length. Actually, quite a few verses are given. 8 verses are given in this section. So how do you overcome basically lust and anger? So some principles are given there. Okay, let's go to our verses. 3.1. I can ask Jai Prakash Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanapram.
No problem.
Translation. O Arjuna said, O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than the fruitive work? I think this is in conjunction with the previous verses where Lord spoke about, he started with obviously explaining Sankhya Yoga, and then he further explained more details around the Bhakti Yoga or the Buddhi Yoga. So now Arjuna, based on that, he was like, since he has got too much of information, maybe he is just trying to now assess and see if that is the case. Then if Krishna is telling Buddhi Yoga is better, then he is questioning like, why in that case, why do you want me to engage in the warfare? Instead, can I take like a intelligence side or do a Buddhi Yoga and avoid this battle? That's what I think we discussed.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's nice summary.
That
So basically, two words we can take: karmana, which is fruitive action, as Prabhupada writes. Karma is fruitive actions, and the second word we can take is buddhi. So buddhi yoga refers to what Arjuna understood, not what Krishna explained. Arjuna understood is shanti, shanti, shanti. Shanti means no activity. Huh? So I should just go away from the battlefield. That's what Arjuna is interpreting, which is not the correct interpretation. So Arjuna is saying, if there's two paths are there. One is for karma, fruitive actions. One is of buddhi, taking intelligence, which understood as shanti, no work. Why are you engaging me? Ghore. Ghore refers to very ghastly. Why are you engaging in this ghastly warfare, which is based on karma? And this is not only karma, it's vikarma. You're killing other people. Huh? That's what Arjuna is thinking. So he's saying, Jayasi, which is better? Prabhupada, Jayasi is better. So which is better? Buddhi is better or karma is better? So if buddhi is better, which you have recommended, that means I should not be fighting, but you are telling me to fight. So which path is better? Why are you engaging me? Niyojasi. Why are you engaging me? Hey Keshav, hey Janardhan. So the two words for Krishna is used, Janardhan and Keshav. 2 times. What does Janardhan mean? Anyone?
It's like a Pahari.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Pahari who feeds.
So Jana plus Ardhan.
Means Jana means people like all of us, and then Ardhana means like looking after.
Thank you. Janardhan. You're a Janardhan. You look after people. Huh? So a parents looking after their children. Huh? So they try the welfare of the children. But here you're saying engage in warfare. So Arjun is a bit confused here. Next one. Ujjwala Samataji. Or
Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, just wanted a small. I wanted to ask you a small query. I'm referring to verse 249. Here Krishna says, Durena hi avaram karma. So keep all the abominable activities distant. So is that also a cause of confusion for Arjuna, because he's equating the warfare, the ghastly warfare, with the abominable activity?
Yes, Mataji, it's perfectly right. And this avaram karma will be used by Arjun later as well. So you are right. So Arjun is thinking warfare is a avaram karma, inauspicious activity, which it is actually, which it is an inauspicious activity if you're fighting a war for your own false ego. For example, many kings, in Indian history, and I'm sure other histories as well, they're fighting the war on the base of their own false ego. There's no other reason. There's a current war going on. I'm not sure still going on. Russia and Ukraine, that's not a varam karma. That's not auspicious karma. That's not an instruction of authority of Vedas or Krishna or Vyasadeva. So it's just for the sake of some personal motivations, right? So avaram karma is a very correct word, which Arjun understood that way. But Krishna's meaning is much more deeper than just the external literal meaning of these words. So you're right, Mataji. So whole section has confused Arjuna. This Buddhi Yoga section has confused Arjuna. Actually, Buddhi Yoga in the last one, we're talking Shanti, avaram karma, and all that. Is it okay, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, 3.2. Vinay, Prabhuji, I saw you here. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
The
Voice is very bold, very clear.
says purport is, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So, yeah, Krishna says the karma, like work, and then buddhi, intelligence is better, and that's why Arjun is a little bit bewildered, and he asks direct question to Krishna, like, which one is the best? Please tell me this one. Here, just two different instructions here. That's why he's asking the question to Krishna, which one is the better for him.
Yeah, yeah, it's a straightforward verse, basically. So related to the previous verse, basically saying, out of buddhi and karma, you tell me one thing. Tad ekam vad nishyate. Nishyate means, please decide. Ekam, just tell me one thing, not two things. I'm fully confused here. So tad ekam vad nishyate. So you decide one thing and then tell me that which is better for me, and I get Shreya. Shreya means long-term benefit, not a short-term benefit. Arjun is looking for a Shreya. Usually we are looking for Preya. Preya means what is pleasing to our senses right now. Children asking for, say, chocolate. A simple example, Mama, chocolate. Mama says, no, beta, your teeth are always already getting decayed. If you eat more chocolate, you will get holes, but they don't listen because they're looking for Preya. Mother is looking for Shreya. No, beta, this is not good for you. And Arjun in this category is looking for Shreya, not Preya. And he's very intelligent devotee. Okay, let's move forward to 3.3. Kanika Mataji, would you like to do?
Yes, Prabhu. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. So, Lokesmin is, in this loka, Dvividha means two types of nishtha. Nishtha means the faith, basically, that people have, or they some kind of goal that they have, which is their nishtha. So in Pura Prokta Mayagnaha, I think, so that's what he's trying to say. Who are the two types? Jnana Yogena, Sankhyanam. So jo Sankhyavad mein believe karte hain, so the empirical philosophers, us type ke, and Jnana Yogena jo Jnana mein believe karte hain, and then Karma Yogena jo Karma mein believe karte hain as part of their Yogena, as part of their activities. So the goal is either Karma Yoga which is Karma Yogena, or they believe in Sankhyanam, which is the empirical, or Gyan, which is the philosophical speculation. So there are two types: Dvividha, Nishtha, goal, Gyan Yogena, and Karma Yogena. They are the four important words. And I think, Prabhu, you had explained that goal of Karma Yoga actually should be also Bhakti Yoga, and I think Prabhupada even writes it in Karma Yogena that the explanation is by linking process of devotion. So we should be doing Karma Yoga, but the ultimate goal should be doing Karma Yoga for Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. As you have already mentioned, Prabhupada here writes Karma Yoga as process of devotion. Now, technically, you may split it, but Prabhupada is writing the goal in the process itself. And I think we discussed in this class, what's the difference between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Anyone? They both look similar, but they are technically a little different.
In the Karma
Bhakti
Yoga,
is, sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Everyone is coming. That's good, because devotees know the difference. This is nice. Maybe Akhandas Prabhu can go. Okay, Akhandas Prabhu. Okay.
Bhakti Yoga is basically working for Krishna, and Karma Yoga is basically doing the activity for your own self, but then either for the fruitive results, or giving up the fruits, either way.
Yeah.
But the other one is doing the activity for Krishna's pleasure.
For Krishna. So before you do the activity, you already know what will please Krishna. So before you do the activity, and Karma Yoga, you have done the activity, then you're offering the fruits to Krishna. Now, Karma Yoga can also be Sakam and Nishkam Karma Yoga and all that. But anyway, so the subtle difference here is, before the activity, this will please my spiritual master, this will please Krishna, and that's how you will start the activity. And obviously the result will obviously go to Krishna. In Karma Yoga, the offering is done later. Bhakti Yoga offering is done before. You've already meditated on the activity and the result. This will please Krishna. I'm going to buy a new car. This will please Krishna. You have a valid reason to do that. Go for it. No problem with the new car at all. New car, new house, or whatever it may be. But some people buy the car and then they offer it to Krishna, which is also nice. But that may not be a clear Bhakti Yoga. But in our language, Prabhupada is writing very simply, process of devotional service straight away, because that's the goal. Okay, let's move forward. 3.4, which is the last verse. Divya Mataji, would you like to do that?
Yes, Prabhu. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So Prabhu, here we talked about that Arjuna is trying to run away from karma, and then we spoke about the word arambha, which means beginning, and anarambha, not starting. So Krishna is saying, if you think by not starting the work, then you won't get reaction. So, and another point we discussed was not by just sannyas alone, you can't attain siddhi, which is success.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So
thank you.
It's also very straightforward for us. Na karmanam. So there's one category given here. Nacha sanyasanade. So if you don't start the activity, that means akarma, inactivity. Krishna is referring to inactivity. So if you don't do inactivity, does not mean you will not get reaction. And the example, anyone remembers, which we discussed last week? 5 types of pap, which we do on a daily basis, all of us, knowingly, unknowingly. What are those? Just give me a few. Rupa Prabhu is ready to speak
eating,
up.
Sleeping, eating, cooking.
While cooking.
Yep. While cooking, cleaning the floor.
Taking water from the well. Yeah.
Taking water from the well. Yep. So by walking on the road. So all these activities are inevitably bringing you sinful activity. You don't want it, but it's just happening right now. So how do you contract in the Vedic culture these 5 sinful acts?
Panchayagya.
Panchayagya. Thank you. So we Grahastha is supposed to do Panchayagya every day. Now we forget our Panchayagya. We can't do even Ekayagya, one yagya every day.
Sankirtan yagya.
So thank you, Mataji. So we do Sankirtan yagya, Kirtaniye Sadahari. So when we are chanting the names of Krishna, unknowingly, again unknowingly, not knowingly, if some sinful activities are happening by you, by your body, Krishna will take care of it. Antam sarapapebhyo mokshisham, because you are surrendered to me. So the basic principle is surrendered, not what you are doing. It's the okay, Hare Krishna, we are back. Sorry for the interruption. We don't know why the account settings are changed. Someone probably has logged in and changed some things. Okay, let's continue. 3.4, we have almost done it. So yeah, so 2 paths are given. If you don't do activity, don't think you will not get the reaction, because even if you're inactive, you're still getting reactions. And also by taking sannyas, you will not be achieved perfection just by merely sannyas. Let's start 3.5 now, which is today's first verse. Sakhi Radhika Mataji, would you like to do?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'll try, Prabhu. Nahi kaschit shananam api
Nahi kaschit kshanam api
jatu tisthati akarma krit
jatu tishtati akarmakrit
karyate hi avashya karma
haryate hi avashah karma
sarva prakriti jair gunai.
sarvah prakriti jair gunaiha.
Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment.
Yeah, so Krishna is very clearly explaining. You cannot just think about taking sannyas and then sit idle and not do anything. It's not possible, because no one can refrain from doing something even for a moment. So nahi kaschit charam api. So charam refers to a small amount of time. A churn, we call it lava, chana, and all those things. Jatu tishtati akarmakrat. Tishtati refers to like situated. Akarmakrat, while not doing anything. Akarma here refers to inactivity. So while being in inactivity, it's not possible. Karyatehi avashah karma. Avashah refers to, vasha refers to control. Avashah is helplessly. So you will be helplessly driven to do something or other. Like if I ask you to sleep, how many hours you can sleep? Some people can sleep 7 hours, some people 9, 10, some people can make a record of 12 hours, I guess, 14 hours. After that, you have to get up. You'll be hungry. You have to, go to bathroom or something. You have to get up. You cannot just lie down. Okay. Lie down from today onwards, like a kumbhakaran. You can't do that. Even if you are paid for it, how long you can do? Because by nature you're active. And Prabhupada writes in the purport here that it's not the body's nature, body is dead, it's the soul's nature to be active all the time. So you cannot artificially make the soul inactive. His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj explained in one of his classes that even these jnanis who think they will go and merge into the Brahma Jyoti, they will stay there. They can go there, they can stay there for very, very long time, which seems like an eternity, but then they come back because there's nothing to do there, because they cannot do anything there. After a while, which again seems like a very long period, they come back and they become Prabhupada writes as philanthropist. That means social worker. They want to do something for others. So it's not possible for anyone to stay in inactive stage for a long period of time. And Bhakti Maharaj also gave an example. You tell a child, suppose 3-year or 4-year-old child who's very, 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 very active, and a mother asks the child to shh, sit down, calm down. How long the child will stay calm for? 5 seconds probably. As soon as mother turns, child is still active again, and mother will look again. What is you doing? That's the nature of the child. A normal child, I mean, will be like that, always active. When they are not active, mother and father are worried. Oh, my child is very active. Why today is not doing the activity? So by nature, we are all active. That's the nature of the soul. You cannot take that nature out of the soul. And he says, Kaschit Chanamapi, not even for a moment, not even for a moment. Even if you're sitting idly in the body, your mind is still thinking. Now this class is going on. I'm sure your mind is still thinking a lot of other things outside the class as well. So it just happens. It's just the nature of the soul. So Krishna is saying, you cannot do that. Why you cannot do? Sarva Prakriti Jair Gunai hai. It's born out of the modes of material nature. Material nature will force you to act. This is the way it is. Now, one thing which is pointed out by our acharyas in this particular line, material nature is not forcing you to do what needs to be done. That we decide. In my spare time, I can read Bhagavad Gita, or I can waste my time in so many ways. That's up to me, but I will be doing something. So based on my consciousness, which I have developed so far, I'll do some activity. Now, material nature will facilitate that activity, but the desire is done by the soul. Desire is not controlled by material nature. Desire is done by the soul, but as soon as a soul desires, I want to watch a movie, for example, then material nature arranges a TV or a computer and the internet, and then you go on and type, Google, whatever. So that facility is created by the modes of material nature. Modes of material nature does not dictate you what needs to be done. That is a desire of the soul. That's why some people use their time, some people misuse their time. That's up to them, because internet is for everyone. We can use internet for reading Bhagavad Gita, we can use internet for other activities. So when we say sarva prakriti jayar gunaiha, it's coming out of modes of material nature. Modes of material nature are facilitating the desire of the soul. But who is desiring? Soul is desiring, and soul cannot stay without desiring it. Is it clear? Krishna is basically taking Arjuna towards the path of glorifying how inactivity is not possible. It's not possible. 3.6. This is a very, very popular verse. You must have heard in so many different lectures. Maybe I can ask Rupam Prabhu to read that.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Karmendriyani samyamya.
Karmendriyani samyamya.
Ya aste manasa smaran.
Ya aste manasa smaran.
Indriyarthana vimudatma.
Indriyarthan vimhudatma.
Mithyachara sa uchyate.
Mithyachara sa uchyate.
Translation: one who restrains the senses of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
Yeah, so basically Krishna is saying, even if your body stops doing activity, in your mind, you're still thinking about Indriya Artha, the sense objects. What you are called? Mithyacharaha. So Mithya Achar, Prabhupada calls this a pretender. So let's look at the verse first. So Karmendriyani. So we have different types of Indriyas. So we have Karmendriya, Gyan Indriya. Anyone knows how many Karmendriyas we have?
5.
5, which are Karma Indriya.
And
by which we perform karma, actions. Yes,
so
which
hand,
are they?
your hands, yeah.
Legs. So from legs we walk, hands we do certain activity.
Yeah, legs, your jiva.
No, really.
Ears.
Speech is also considered karmendriya. That is Gyanendriya, Prabhuji. So there are 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas. So Karmendriya performs the action. Gyanendriya acquires the knowledge. Like ears acquiring the knowledge. Yes, Rasanan Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Hand, legs, genitals, anus, and mouth.
Yes. So there are 5 Karmendriyas. From this, you do karma. You do some certain action. You interact in and out, right? So there are 5. And what are 5 Gyanendriyas? Someone else can say? Not in this verse, but just for our knowledge purpose. Gyan Arjan. So you gather the knowledge from your eyes, like you see certain threat, certain danger, so you don't drive in that lane. You hear something and you taste something, you touch something, and you smell something. So these are called Gyanendriyas. There are 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas, and there are 5 sense objects. Sense objects means eyes want to see a beautiful form, ear want to hear some beautiful music, nose want to smell something beautiful, some rasgullas and jalebis and whatnot. So these are all Gyanendriyas, and jiva, the tongue, want to taste something nice. They're all called Gyanendriyas. So Karmendriya, although you can stop, Karmendriya stopping means your legs are not walking, your hands are not working. So Karmendriyani Sanyamya, you have controlled your Karmendriya. That means your leg is not moving, your hands are not moving. You have controlled your genitals and all that. Ya aste manasa smaran. In your mind, smaran, you're remembering. What are you remembering in your mind in that situation? Indriya artha, the artha of Indriya, the business of Indriya. What's the business of Indriya? What is
Enjoy.
the business of our Indriya? Huh? Sense gratification.
To enjoy.
Huh? To enjoy. That's what our Indriyas want. The default setting in this material world, not in the spiritual world. Default setting in this world is sense enjoyment. If you sit idle, Prabhupada said, what you will think about? Women and wealth. Prabhupada said, anyone who sits idle will think about these two things. Huh? This is just a default setting in this material world. So Indriya Arthas, although your karma Indriya are in regulated, are in control, so-called control, but your mind is working and thinking about Indriya Artha. So that person is a Vimuda, is deluding himself. That's all it is. Huh? So he thinks I'm a great yogi in India and other parts of the world as well. They're so-called yogis. So from external, they look, a very great yogi. They may be able to do some magic as well. And through that magic, what are they trying to do? Trying to create followers and earn money and reputation. That's all. Because even if they don't want money, they want reputation. I'm a very big yogi. I'm a very big Swami, and I have 50,000 followers like that. So these are called Indriya Artha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagdish kamaye mam janmani janmamishare bhavatad bhaktir ahetuki toy. That is the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that should be the ideal desire for us. So it's not like we are Dhana, Jana, Sundari, and Kavita. That's all we want. General, again, default setting for us. So that is, if that's our mentality, Krishna is saying, Mithya Achara Sochita, you are just a pretender. So basically what this verse is saying, changing the externals without changing the internal will not do. We can change our external. We can become a Babaji, we can become a sannyasi, we can become a brahmachari or a grahastha, whatever, in whichever ashrama we want to be situated in. But if we are not following the duties of the ashrama, what are we? Mithyacharaha, a pretender. Many times people take sannyas as their livelihood, because once they become sannyasi, everyone will offer them food, at least in India. So they take sannyas not because of their spiritually elevated, but because they want to make this as a livelihood. They couldn't get a job or they're frustrated from the life. So they take the high, but what are they doing internally? They are looking forward to all these Indriya Artha. Can you buy me an iPhone? There are many so-called Babajis in Vrindavan. They say, what's his name? Dinabandhu Prabhu was telling one of the classes when he went to Vrindavan, probably 1970s sometime. So Babaji, some Vrindavan Vasis will come and tell him, can you buy me a tape recorder? When you go to America next time, can you bring me a CD player? And all those things. So although in their dress, they look very elevated, they may be sahajiyas, they are crying tears. Once Prabhupada was in some temple in America, and one person came and he started crying and he was chanting the name of Krishna and Radha and gopis, and he's rolling on the ground, and devotees were like, wow, this looks like a very amazing advanced person. Luckily, Prabhupada was in the temple that time, so some devotees went upstairs to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we have a visitor in our temple. He's crying and rolling on the ground. Looks like he's a very advanced devotee. Prabhupada just smiled and said, take a stick and hit on his body. If he does not react, then he is an elevated person because he's absorbed in transcendence. But if he's not, he will run away. And you know what happened? The second one happened. As soon as the guys went with a stick, before even he could touch the stick with the body, he ran away out of the temple. They are called sahajiyas. Sahajiyas means they show off. They will show off tears and they will act like a gopi. The male is acting as a female, or male is acting like a mayur, a peacock. They're called sahajiyas. So this is not the sign of advancement just because you are externally showing off something. Radhanath Maharaj said, love of devotion actually is written by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion, which Maharaj is explaining. A devotee's tears are not for public, it's for private, it's for Krishna. A devotee also cries, advanced transcendentalist also cries for Krishna, but their tears are not for public show off. It is private tears for Krishna. In public, he will not cry. And actually, Rupa Goswami says, told by Bhakti Charu Maharaj, if you cry in front of the deities, it's an offense. You can read in Nectar of Devotion. You should not cry in front of deities. So it's quite advanced stage, which some so-called devotees show off just to get some money or some name and fame. So this is all considered in the category of mithyachara. Now, a question may arise in all of our mind, and it arises in my mind. What if we are a struggling sadhaka? So we are not a devotee as yet, at least I'm not, but our standards are pretty high. Now, as per this verse, if you take it literally, so our mind should not be thinking about any indriyartha. Now, how many of us can say our mind is not thinking about indriyartha? Sense gratification, and be honest to yourself. You don't have to tell anyone. How many times? Probably only rarely we'll think about Krishna's gratification. The rest of the time we are thinking about our gratification only. So are we also a pretender? So Rupa Goswami gives the answer: we are not pretenders if our goal is to achieve pure Krishna bhakti. So if our goal is to achieve Krishna bhakti and we are honest with ourselves, that yes, I'm not a devotee or I'm a weak devotee, I'm a struggling sadhaka, I'm struggling with my chanting, I'm struggling with my sadhana, I'm struggling with the following all the principles given in the Shastra expected by Guru, then you're not a pretender because you're honest and you're trying sincerely. Again, you're failing, but you're sincerely trying to move forward. In that situation, we are called struggling sadhaka, not a pretender. Pretender is someone, again, who is internally meditating on the indriyartha. If I do a show off of my crying, people will think I'm a great advanced spiritualist and they will give me a lot of money. So my meditation is on money, and I'm taking doing a little drama, and by which people will give me some fame or money. Then that is considered a pretending activity. But if you're struggling sadhaka, you're not making a goal of creating a lot of name and fame in the community, in the society, not earning money. You're not going to temple just to find, to do networking. You know, in job, we do some networking, Friday afternoon drink, or whatever you want to call it. We go for networking. So we know more people. So LinkedIn, how many friends you have? 5,000 friends, something like that, so that you can get next job easily, a better job easily. So we are not doing those sort of activities here. We are struggling and we accept it. And my Guru Maharaj said, you should be humble, and humility means honesty. You be honest to yourself. I'm not great. I'm not so advanced. I'm struggling. And once you're honest, then you can advance. First, be honest and accept your faults, accept your weaknesses, and then work on those weaknesses. Okay. So in this situation, we should not be in that category unless we are meditating on those anarthas and we are relishing and we are making arrangements how to fulfill it. Just after 2 hours, I'll make some other arrangement. Then it is a category of pretending. Is it clear? Okay, next one, 3.7. Hare Krishna, Sakhi Radhika Mataji.
Just a quick question. Sometimes I have seen devotees, like genuine devotees, crying in front of the Lord when they get through some kind of calamity, somebody, whatever this thing. So is it wrong to do that? Or is it okay to do it in the house in front of the deities? I've also heard in a lecture that the deities in your altar, you should not, like your home deities, you should not pray to them. You should only serve them, because I don't know how to take it. So where to share your heart to the deities, because they are not different from Krishna.
Yeah.
So how to understand?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. It's a very nice question. So I think this is a two-part question. One is about crying, one is about sharing our heart. So as per Rupa Goswami, we should not cry in front of the deities. When we say deities here, so take it as installed deities in the temple. Why? Again, and you can understand it logically. People will say, how are you, and this and that, and most of them are not able to solve your issues. They will make masala out of that issue and then spread it if they are not very integral devotees. I mean, that's one part of it. Now, home deities, as much as I know, they're also the extension of the main deities, in our case, say Radha Gopinath. So it's considered your house and other devotees' houses are the extension of the same temple of Radha Gopinath, because that's our central deities. And this is in one sense non-different. And our Laddu Gopal or Radha Krishna, Gaur Nitai, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, whatever deities you have in your house are considered same as Radha Gopinath temple. Obviously, the rules and regulation in the house are much simpler than in the temple. But at the same time, you are allowed to share your heart. If not with Krishna, who else you're going to share? Who will understand you anyway, except Krishna? We don't have capacity to understand other person. No? Chaitanya Prabhu said once in one of the classes, he said, even if you find one person, now we are talking, say, Sydney Yatra or Melbourne Yatra, big cities. We live in big city, we have big yatras, 2,000 people at least. Initiative we are talking, or close to that. He said, even if you find one person which understands you, you are very lucky. You're very lucky. If you find one person in this out of 2,000, for example, who understands you really, we're talking in a spiritual sense. It's very, 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 very rare. So it's very hard to find a good friend. And it says Krishna is the best friend. You are allowed to share your heart. And you can pray to Krishna even for your mundane things. Sorry, you can pray to Krishna, but that's not the only thing you should pray. You're in calamity, your loved one in the hospital, you can pray for that person. You can do Ekadashi for that person. That person is going through something negative in his or her life. It's definitely allowed. In Bhagavatam it says, Akama sarvakama va mokshakama udardi tibre nibhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Even if you're akama, akama means no kamna, no desire. Sarvakama, you have all the desires like Dhruv Maharaj. Mokshakama, you want liberation. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. You should yajan, you should worship param purusha Krishna for all the desire. Kardamani worship Krishna for what? You remember? For a wife. When Krishna came, Vishnu came, he said, I want a good wife. Vishnu said, yes, I know about it. So he worshipped Krishna, a live example, and he became the father of Krishna. Vasudeva and Devaki worshipped Krishna for a son. And when Krishna came, he said, you know, you wanted a son like me, and there's no one like me. So there is no one above than me, no one is equal to me. So I can't fulfill your desire. So I have to fulfill your desire 3 times. So he became Vasudeva and Devaki sons 3 times, Prishni Garbha in this case. So yes, you can pray to Krishna for husband, wife, son. Dhruv Maharaj prayed to Krishna for money. No problem. Gajendra, Draupadi, they worshipped when they were Artu, they were Dukhi, they were sad, they were distressed. So Chaturudavjante Mam Jana Chaturna Arjun. Artu Jigyasu Arthati, Gyani Cha Bharta Shavasa. Krishna said, Udara Sarva Evaite, Gyani Tatmai Mevatam. So they are all Udara, they are all devotees. So definitely you can pray to Krishna. But you should not pray to Krishna only for the material things. Sometimes you can also pray, Krishna, please make me a devotee, a nice devotee. And Krishna will listen to the prayers appropriately. Okay. And one last thing also, some devotees you see crying. Yes, I've gone to Vrindavan and I've seen actually. So there's natural crying. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're naturally happening. It's just they even don't know when the tears are coming. They can't stop. I've seen it actually from my eyes. So they're not crying for any other purpose like showing off, impressing someone else. It's a natural thing which is happening, and I know they try to stop as well. So that's not considered an offense. It's a natural activity. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went in front of Jagannath, when he went to Jagannath Puri first time, he cried and he fainted in front of Jagannath. We all know in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it says, yeah, we should not cry for the sake of crying, but if it's naturally happening, your body is just doing, what can you do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down in front of deities, became unconscious, and Sarvam Bhattacharya took him home. Okay. Okay, let's move 3.7. Who is not? I see Shraddha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yastav Indriyani Mansa.
Yasvendriyani Manasa.
Niyam Yarabhate Arjuna.
Niyam Ya Arabhate Arjuna.
Kamendriya Karma Yogam.
Karma Indriya Karma Yogam.
Asakta Sa Vishishyate.
Asakta Sa Vishishyate.
On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior.
Yeah, so previous verse, what he was saying, karmendriya karma yogam asakta savisheshyate. So previous verse was saying, if he controls the karmendriya, but from the mind, yeah, aste manasa is one. From the mind, he is doing a smaran of what? Indriya artha. Then he's a pretender. On the other hand, is a contrary verse, as Krishna does many times plus minus. So he's saying, on the other hand, indriyani manasa. So what he's trying to do from his mind, he's trying to engage the indriya in what? Niyam arabate arjun. So arabate refers to begins. So he begins doing the karma. What sort of karma? Regulated karma. Karma indriya, same word is used in this karma yogam. So he's doing karma yoga with the karma indriya rather than controlling it and from the mind thinking something else. What he's doing, he's engaging the karmendriyas in the karma yoga. But how is doing karma yoga? Asaktaha. There's two words, asakta and asakta. There are two things. Asakta refers to asakta, attachment, and asakta refers to detachment. So here the word is used asaktaha. So if there was a asakta, so there will be a line on top of a. So this is asakta, if you can read in Sanskrit or in English. So asakta. So if he's doing karma yoga, devotional service in a detached mode, this is far better than doing a pretension of controlling your karma indriya, but in the mind thinking about the indriya artha. So what Krishna is recommending from this verse is very, very clear. What he's trying to tell to Arjun, engage your senses in an unattached way. This is much higher. So this is the message which we get from this verse. Very clear message given to Arjuna in this particular verse 3.7. He's saying, don't try to become a pretender, just go to jungle and then you're thinking about kingdom and other insults which had happened with you in the past. Rather, you do your karma yoga with asakta, with detached mentality, and that is far better. So this verse actually applies to all of us in our current situation. So where our internals are not so high, so we're trying to engage external as per Shastra in the service of the Lord. This is far better. Prabhupada said in one of the lectures, a street sweeper is much better than a pretender sannyasi. So if someone has taken sannyas, but he's pretending, so saying a street sweeper, Prabhupada said, is much better. Although externally speaking, socially speaking, he's a very low class, he's a Shudra. But because he's doing his duty nicely, he's still getting elevated rather than taking a person who's a sannyasi, but he's a fake sannyasi. Rupa Goswami also says, sannyas which is taken without the internal purification is just a upadrav, it's a disturbance in the society. So we should not prematurely jump to these things. Okay, 3.8. Who hasn't done as yet? I see Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Nyatam kuru karma tvavam.
Nyatam kuru karma tvam.
Karma jaha akarmana.
Karma jayo hi akarmana.
Sharira yatra pichate na.
Sharira yatra pichate.
Na prasidayat akarmana.
Na prasiddhyed akarmana.
Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work.
Yeah, so this is a very nice verse, and again extension of the previous one, where Krishna was saying, engage your senses, engage your karmendriyas. So, and then he's sort of extending the same thoughts. He's saying, niyatam kuru karmatvam. So niyatam refers to prescribed, and karma refers to the duty. So actually, tvam refers to Arjuna. You should do prescribed duties, because in the previous verse saying, okay, engage karmendriyas where? So engage karmendriyas in doing prescribed duties. Karma jayo hi akarmanaha. Rather than doing inactivities. Akarmana again refers to inactivity. Rather than being inactive, engage your activity in prescribed duties. Why? Sharir yatra pichatena. So sharir yatra. So now we hear Mayapur yatra, Vrindavan yatra, Puri yatra. I think Rasanand Prabhu just went for some yatra of Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj. So this is sharir yatra. What does sharir yatra will refer to? From Mayapur yatra we can understand. Jagannath Puri Yatra. So when we go in a yatra, what do? We go from A to B, isn't it? In association of devotees, we go from A to B. So Sharir Yatra word is very important here. Our soul is also on a yatra through this sharir. Sharir is like a vehicle. So when you go to India, you take the help of an aeroplane, for example. So in the aeroplane, you sit, you leave Sydney and you land in Singapore or somewhere there, right? So that's a yatra. You do a journey from A to B. Similarly, our Atma is also doing journey from A to B. So A is what? In the material world we have started, and what should be the B? Spiritual world. Ideally, that's the goal, right? Now we may end up, Prabhupada said, at least you should do that many auspicious activity. You should not take birth in the animal body. So we read this verse in 14th chapter, Madhya Tishani Rajasa. What's the starting point of that verse? Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha. So Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha. Sattva Guna people, they go Urdhva. Urdhva means upper planetary system. Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastha. Madhya Tishtanti Rajasa. Rajasa, the passionate people. Tishtanti, they stay Madhya. Madhya means earth planetary system. Jaganne Gunvasti Satha. Adho Gachanti Tamsa. The Tamsa people, the ignorant people, they go Adhogati. Adhogati means downward. So Prabhupada said, at least we should stay on earth planet as a human being. At least you should do that much. Because if you become animal, you are helpless. You can't improve your life in a Krishna conscious way. So Sharir Yatra. So we are all in a yatra. And Chaitanya Prabhu says, we are on a journey where no one comes out live. So you go in a ride. You go to a water park. What's the name of the water park in Sydney? I forgot the name. In Blacktown, there's one water park. Devotees have been there. I've also been there.
Wet and Wild, Prabhu.
Wet and Wild. Thank you, Kanika Mataji.
Wet and Wild.
Wet and Wild. So imagine you go to Wet and Wild and you ride. You do a ride on some swing, and you come out as dead. Would you like that? You've been to Gold Coast. I'm sure you've been to Gold Coast, and there's another place there. I forgot the name. Maybe devotees can help me. There's a big place. There are 3 places, right? So what is that big place with a lot of rides?
Sea World, Dream World.
And there's one more.
Jamru.
Yeah, Dream World. Anyway, say Dream World. There's big swings there. I went there once. I bought the ticket. I just saw different swings. I came back. I said, not for me. I don't fit there. So all these dream and illusory worlds are there. Suppose there's a ride, and hopefully people come out live, but there is a ride there where you enter into the ride, you never come out live. Who will like to ride on that ride? 0 people, but we're all riding on that ride right now. We're on this Sharir Yatra, and what will the end result? We'll all be dead sooner or later. So this yatra is extremely important. We can drive it in a very auspicious way, or we can drive in an inauspicious way. So Krishna is saying, Sharir Yatra Pichedana. So you are doing a Sharir Yatra, auspicious or inauspicious. Na prasasthir akarmana. Even to do this Sharir Yatra, you cannot sit idle. Prabhupada translated very nicely. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. How can you maintain your body? You have to work. Even Kumbhakaran was getting up one day after 6 months. He said to Brahmaji, Brahman actually said to Brahmaji, if he sleeps all the time, he will die. So Brahmaji said, okay, for that purpose, he can get up one day. After 6 months, he can get up one day, eat, and then sleep again. So for Sharir Yatra, we need to do activity. We cannot sit inactive. And also, if we become inactive, although you may say, I have a lot of money inherited by my father or grandfather, I'll just sit idle. But that will not set up a good example, isn't it? So even if you have a lot of money, although you are doing activity, some activity, eating and sleeping and entertaining yourself, but you'll not be setting a good example. And the third thing is, even if you become inactive, your mind will be disturbed and you'll be called as mithyachara. So for these 3 reasons, Krishna is basically recommending Arjuna to engage himself in what activity? That is very important, not just engaging ourselves. Some old man was saying, samay hi nahi karta hai, time nahi karta hai. I'm not able to pass my time. And I was so surprised how you're not able to pass your time, because time is passing you, actually. Time is passing you. So which activity should be engaged in? Not in, what do you call that? 20 bowling. They go for bowling. They throw a ball, a big heavy ball. And then with a stick, I don't know what you call that game. Anyway, the different games.
10-pin bowling. 10-pin bowling.
10-pin bowling. Here we are. 10-pin bowling. Here we are. So Prabhu knows about it. So all these games, people play just to spend their time. But Krishna is saying where you should spend your time in niyatam kuru karma, prescribed duties. What is your prescribed duties? And if you say prescribed duties, we have varna and ashrama. We'll talk about it in 4:13 when we reach there. But just given a hint. So varna and ashram, two things are there. So varna is for body, ashrama is for the soul. So for each varna and for each ashrama, there is prescribed duty given. And if you follow that duty, you will be going in a very auspicious direction. But if you are not doing that varna and ashrama duties, which is what Krishna is referring by niyatam kuru karma, you are going actually backwards. You are going backwards. Okay, Ujjwal Rasa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, just a quick clarification. When we said Shariri Yatra, it's the Yatra of the body for the maintenance. So did you also refer to Yatra of the soul?
Yes, but this is the Yatra of the soul in the vehicle of the body. The soul is journeying. Suppose you sit on a train, kids in India, one of my cousin, I remember, she was very small. She was probably 6-year-old. She had never sit on the train. I was very surprised with that. Anyway, so once she sat on the train and she told me, she was probably 3 years younger than me. Today I did train yatra. But who did the yatra? Actually, passenger did the yatra. Train was just a vehicle. And today we did aeroplane yatra. Today we went wet and wild, whatever. So, but who is journeying? You are journeying. But what you call is train yatra. I can see little Adib behind, you go to Darling Harbor. And what does he say? Papa, I want to sit in that train, little train in Darling Harbor. All kids want to sit, why not? So they want to sit on the train ride, elephant ride, But who is journeying? The passenger is journeying, but the vehicle is known as. So Sharir Yatra refers to the body, but who is journeying? The soul is journeying. Sharir is dead. Even this now, right now, Sharir is dead. There's nothing in the body, but yeah, it's it's been integrated so nicely by Brahmaji. It feels like body is life. The life is of soul. The energy given, consciousness given is of soul. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. Samit Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, just note that the meeting is going to end again in 1 minute. So we may need to disconnect and reconnect again.
Okay, so please reconnect if it gets disconnected.
Yeah. So let's, I'd say instead of you starting a verse and then we abruptly get disconnected, because it's getting less than a minute. So about 40 seconds it'll get disconnected. So let's Yes, I'm getting the message.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So let's get out and we'll jump back in a minute.
Yes,
okay.
It's say before 3 time finish. Before.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have done 3.8. Let's do 3.9. Now in 3.9, Krishna tells the way how to be out of the karmic cycle, although you are doing the karma. Okay, let's read 3.9. Who has not done as yet?
I have not done.
Okay, Madhuri Mataji, go for it.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yajñarthat karmano yatra.
Yajñarthat karmano yatra.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Mukta sangha samachara.
Mukta sangha samachara.
Translation. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage.
Thank you, Mataji. So in the previous verse, Krishna said, Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jaya hi akarmana. So he's saying, Niyatam kuru karma. So you do your prescribed duties. So Arjun may ask a question, but if I do my duties, activity in his terms, then I will be in the bondage. So Krishna says, no, that's not the case. Why that's not the case? Yajñarthat. So yajna refers to, so yajna in general, especially coming from Indian background, we see yajna as a fire yajna, where a Brahman is sitting and he's doing ahuti. He has a wood, he has some fruits and all that. So that's yajna. Yes, that is a yajna, but yajna is also a principle. So if you see the translation of yajna, sacrifice. So what I could use for my sense gratification, I give that to Vishnu. So yajna is also the name of Vishnu. In Vishnu Shastranam, yajna is given as a name of Vishnu. So yajna is a yajna, a form of yajna, which we all know, and also it's a principle, and also it's the name of Lord Vishnu. So you can have three translations there. So if you do yajna arthat, obviously here refers to yajna, refers to the Vishnu. If you do yajna, yajna artha. Now we are talking the word indriya artha. You remember? Indriya artha. What is the indriya artha? Sense gratification. But here the word is used yajna artha. Yajna artha refers to for Vishnu. So if you are doing karma for Vishnu, Yagyarthat karmano. So just read this line here. So if you're doing karma for the sake of Vishnu, for pleasing the Lord, then you will not mukta sangha samachar, you will not be in the bondage. But anyatra refers to otherwise. If you're not doing that, that means you're not doing for Vishnu, lokoyam karma bandhanaha, then you will get bound in this material world. So if you're doing karma for yajna, for Vishnu, then you will not be bound. But if you are doing anyatra, otherwise you will be bound. Tadartham karma konte mukta sangha samachar. Is it clear? So three meanings of yajna is given in this particular verse, and Prabhupada writes for Vishnu. Yajna is a principle. Now, when we say you're doing activity for the sake of Vishnu, that means you are sacrificing. And now sacrifice, one example, you put ghee in the yajna. Now ghee is quite expensive these days, isn't it? Like $20 a kilo or something, which you buy from the market, and that may not be pure as well. I think in Melbourne, Gaushala, they have a ghee which is what, $40 a kilo or something, but that's a pure one. If you want the pure one. So pure ghee is expensive, but now you put that ghee where? In the Agni. So what does Agni represent? Agni represent multiple things. So first, Agni is of multiple types. So there are 45 different types of Agni. For a particular occasion, a Brahman or a priest will be inviting a particular type of Agni. So when the child is taking birth and you're doing yajna, that Agni is different than someone has passed away and the priest is doing yajna on that particular time. There are different types of Agnis. Regardless of that, Agni is considered in general sense the mouth of Lord Vishnu, also the mouth of other devatas. Through Agni, you put a ahuti, you put a sacrifice which goes to that particular demigod or Lord Vishnu. So Agni in that term, Jiva Goswami explains, actually is explained in Rig Veda. So in Rig Veda it explains Vishnu is the highest devata, obviously he is, and Agni is the lowest. Now Agni is lowest not in terms of powerful. Agni is very, very powerful. Is in terms of accessibility. Accessing Vishnu or Krishna is very, very tough, but accessing Agni, we can all see, is a gross form you can access, and through Agni you can give your ahuti to that particular demigod. You're doing an Indra Yajna, for example, in Krishna Lila we see Gopals are doing Indra Yajna. That is also through Agni. You're doing Krishna Yajna, that is also through Agni. So Agni is the carrier which takes your ahuti to that particular demigod or Lord Vishnu. We see in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu says, stop all the yajnas and demigods will become weak. You remember that statement? And Ravana is also doing the same thing, stopping the yajna, stopping the brahmanas to do this yajna. It says when Krishna was born in 10th canto in 10.1, the Agni of the brahmanas were almost extinguished because Kansa will not let anyone do the yajna. No brahmanas could lit the fire. And when Krishna was born, the fire automatically got lit again. It's written in 10.1 very nicely. Because Krishna is bringing the culture for brahmanas. Go brahmana hitaya cha jagat hitaya Krishna govindaya namo namah. So this Agni is very, very important. And through Agni, we are putting ahuti, which represents our sacrifice. It says when Prabhupada would take prasadam, many of you would have seen the videos of Prabhupada took prasadam always alone. He never took prasadam in public. He will sit in front of a wall and he will very carefully honor the prasad. Now we call it honoring the prasad. I don't know. We honor or we talk, we watch, we do all sorts of activity while so-called honoring. That's not honoring, not a proper honoring. Proper honoring, you see Prabhupada, he is honoring, and someone was actually explaining in the class, Prabhupada was doing that honor also as a yajna. Why? You're putting ahuti, like Krishna Prasad, in the Jataragni, because in your stomach there's Agni, just called Jataragni, as per Ayurveda, you would know that. And sometimes you'll say, my Agni is very low, so I cannot digest any food. Sometimes children's Agni is very high, so children can digest anything. They can eat 10 times a day, no problem. But we can't do that. So it refers to Agni. Rupam Prabhu will know more on that because he's an Ayurveda expert. At least he knows a lot more than me. So all these agnis are there in the body, which helps us in digestion. And Krishna also says in 10th chapter or 11th chapter, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. So I am the demigod Vaishvanar in your Jataragni, in your Amashai, in your stomach, because he looks after your digestion. So the point is, every activity can be taken as yajna, as a sacrifice. You go to work, you give your result of the work to Lord Vishnu, to Radha Gopinath. That's a yajna. You could have taken that result for yourself, but you don't do that. You give that to Radha Gopinath. You give that to your spiritual master. So that is representing the principle of yajna. And when we live for yajna, when we live for Lord Vishnu, what will be the result? Mukta Sangha Samachar, you will not be bound. So although you can stay in your family life, you can have a job, you can be the owner of a lot of properties, it doesn't matter. It says Mukta Sangha Samachara. Is it clear? Because we are living for yajna, for Lord Vishnu, and our life becomes a yajna, our life becomes a sacrifice. I was listening to Radheshyam Prabhu, he was saying the day he took initiation, he felt, that's what he was explaining, he felt from today onwards, my life is not my life, my body is not my life belongs to my Guru Maharaj. That's a very high feeling. We can say it, but very, very hard to experience and live that. We still live as per our taste, as per our desire in our life, even after initiation. But ideally, that should be the feeling. From this day onwards, my life belongs to my Guru. Whatever my Guru will say, I will do that activity for his pleasure. I will live my life for his pleasure. You're still allowed to live your life. You're still allowed to have your family and job and all that. But the consciousness change, and that's what it meant. It says not that you only get a new name in the initiation ceremony. That's not initiation. The initiation is your consciousness changes, that you give your ownership to your Guru. And if that is not happening, you may be initiated, but you're still not initiated as yet. Prabhupada was initiated by Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj because his consciousness changed. I will do the activity which my Guru Maharaj has said, and that becomes the life and soul of Prabhupada. So this is what is called yajna, sacrifice. So if we live for that purpose, for that motive, imagine what karma will bind you. What karma will bind you? Prabhupada crossed the ocean, is said by Raghunath Das Goswami in one of the books, in Hari Bhakti Vilasa as well by Sanatana Goswami. A sannyasi should not cross the ocean. Now Prabhupada crossed the ocean. How many times? Unlimited times, probably 100 times Prabhupada crossed the ocean. But did he break any rule? Yeah, he did break a rule. He did break a rule, a lower rule for a very higher rule, which is the compassion of a sannyasi. So he crossed the ocean for the purpose of pleasing his Guru Maharaj. His Guru Maharaj clearly said, go in the Western country and preach in English language. So is it breaking a rule? No, it's not breaking a rule. From a mundane perspective, it may look like Prabhupada went amongst hippies. Prabhupada ate with them. Prabhupada did many things with them. Prabhupada slept with all these hippies for a while. He put his prasadam in the fridge where meat was kept. He lived with a person where the Mataji was smoking cigarette. So he did all that. For what purpose? For the pleasure of his spiritual master. So will he get karma? No way. Arjuna is killing people. Will he get karma? No way. So the principle is yajna. You should live for yajna. You should live for Vishnu. You should live for your spiritual master. Mukta Sangha Samachara. There is no karma bandhan. There's no bondage from that point onwards. Okay. Very nice verse. 3.10.
Prabhu, one question.
Yes,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Since it's explicitly mentioned here as work done as a sacrifice to please Lord Krishna or Vishnu, wouldn't this become a bhakti yoga? Because it just, we were discussing earlier, even the external are doing the karma, but
absolutely, absolutely, Prabhuji. So Prabhupada is, as I said earlier as well, is talking karma yoga as bhakti yoga. The whole chapter you see like that, Prabhuji. Sure. So the whole chapter Prabhupada is doing that already, is putting the purpose in the process. Okay, next one, 3.10. I prefer who has not done as yet.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Saha yagna praja srishtva.
Saha yagna praja srishtva.
Puro vacha prajapati.
Puro vacha prajapati.
Anina prashavishadvam.
Anina prasavishwadvam.
Esha vo svishta kamadhuk. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures set forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagna," sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation.
Thank you, Mataji. I'll just quickly refer to the PDF workbook. So now we've just finished the first section, renunciation of work or work in devotion. So Krishna clearly mentioned, Niyatam Kuru Karantvam. You should do your prescribed duty. You should live for Lord Vishnu. So we just finished the section. Now I'm entering to the second section. But what if you are saying, I'm not eligible to do Karma Yoga? So Krishna is saying, okay, start from Karma Kanda. So now we are talking few verses here, a couple of verses, which will start to describe the general way of living in this material world, which Krishna has established, which can be called as Karma Kanda, because the purpose here is not Vishnu, but is still Vedic. So we're reading this series of verses. So please remember this section, so it will help you to understand those verses. So from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga 10 to 16. So this is the first verse. Now, Sahi Yagya Praja Shastra. So Sahi Yagya, so Krishna has created that, what he has created, Sahi Yagya. So you do Yagya for the Praja. So Praja, for people like you and me, he has created Yagya. So you live with Yagya. Puro Vach Prajapati. Now Prajapati refers to, anyone knows Prajapati meaning? Very simple word, but multiple meanings are there.
Is Brahma, Prabhuji?
Brahma, thank you. More. Daksha is a Prajapati, remember? Daksha Prajapati? There are many Prajapatis. So out of all those Prajapatis, who's the lead? Brahmaji is the lead. So if you read in the translation of synonyms of the Prabhupada, he says Prajapati, the Lord of the creatures. Now that can be confusing, right? Lord of creatures. Who is the Lord of creatures? Is it Vishnu or is it Brahmaji? So it says it can have both meanings. It can have both meanings because Lord, obviously, Lord Vishnu is the primary creature. He's the Lord of creatures, but Brahma is also a secondary Lord of the creatures. It can have both meanings. Both meanings are correct. Prabhupada mentions the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. I was reading this today, 2:4:20, where Shukdev Goswami is telling Lord as Pati. Pati means protector or Palan Karta. So Vishnu is Shriyapati. Shri means Lakshmi ji. He's the Pati of Shri ji, Lakshmi ji. Yagyapati. So Bhoktaramik Tapsam Sarulok mentioned 529. So he's Yagyapati. He's Prajapati. So here Vishnu is referred as Prajapati. So in translation, Prabhupada writes, along with sacrifices for Vishnu. So Prajapati refers to Vishnu, but some translations you will see outside as Brahma, which is also correct. He is a secondary Prajapati after Lord Vishnu. And Shukdev Goswami said Dhiyapati. Dhiya refers to intelligence. Lokapati. Loka is this Loka, material world, spiritual world. Dharapati. Dhara refers to Prithvi. Patir Gatischa Andhak Vrishti Satatam. So there are three dynasties given by Shukdev Goswami. So Andhak, Vrishti, and Satatam. He is the Pati of those three dynasties, which is where Krishna appeared. Prasiditam me, you please be pleased upon me. Bhagwan Satam Pati. What does Satam refers to? Drishti Satam Darshaneshtu Bhavatanunam. So Nalkuvan Manigriva is praying to Krishna, probably 10.9. He's praying Satam means I should always be seeing Satam, devotees. Satam refers to devotees. So you are the Pati, you are the Pati of devotees. So you are the Palan Karta of the devotees. Very nice. So this verse basically is saying, in the beginning of the creation, Lord of all creatures, say Brahma or Lord Vishnu, sent for generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices of Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou be happy by this yajna, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable. Ishta Kamaduk. So Ishta refers to Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata means Kula Devata, Ishta Devata. We have so a whole family, a whole community may be worshipping a particular demigod, for example. So Ishta refers to whatever desires you have. Kamaduk. So we have Kam Dhenu Gai, for example. So Kam Dhenu, Kam refers to Kamna, desire, and Dhenu refers to the guy. So here is saying, whatever your Ishta Kamana is, whatever your internal desire is, that will be fulfilled by these yajnas. Okay? So this is the verse. So initially, Krishna has created the system of yajna by doing yajna. Now, how do you achieve it? Krishna explains in the subsequent verses very nicely. So each verse are interrelated. We'll see the cycle. 3:11. How does this cycle of yajna works, and how do you fulfill your innermost desires? That's what is explained in these few verses. Who has not read as yet? Raghavi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Devan bhavayate yatanena.
Devan bhavayatanena.
Te deva bhavayantu vaha.
Te deva bhavayantu vaha.
Parasparam bhavayantaha.
Parasparam bhavayantaha.
Shreya param avapasyatha.
Shreya param avapsyatha.
Translation: the demigods, being pleased by sacrifices, will also please you, and thus by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign for all.
So there you can see a one repeat word. So bhavayatanena, bhavayantu, bhavayantaha. So they're all very, very similar words, and they all mean pleasing. So the first word is Devan Bhavyatanena. If you please demigods, what will happen? Te Deva, those demigods, Bhavayantu Vaha. So Vaha refers to the person who's pleasing the demigods. So if you please the demigods, what will happen? Demigods will please you. Anyone can remember any example from our Srimad Bhagavatam? Anyone?
Like the Govardhan Leela.
Thank you, Mataji. I was remembering the same thing. And there can be many more examples. So Govardhan Leela, what Prajavasis were doing? They were doing Indra Yagya. So they do a Yagya, they do activity. Indra gets pleased and they gives the rain, right? So the citizens are trying to please demigod, and demigod is giving Istakam. If you remember from the previous verse, whatever your desire is, that will be fulfilled. So Devan Bhavetanina, so if you try to please demigods, Te Deva, those demigods, Bhavayantu Vaha, they will please you. Parasparam, Parasparam refers to mutual. We have mutual understanding at workplace. If you are sick, your work may be taken care of by your colleague, for example, and someday if he or she is sick, you take care of his or her work. So we do these mutual things many times. In our neighborhood, one person is doing a gardening one week, another person doing gardening next week. People will understand who have a garden. I don't have one. So there are many mutual relationships which we have from different people at different levels. Parasparam bhavayanta, but the principle is bhavayantaha. They're trying to please each other. And if you are trying to do that, what will happen? Shreya param, you will get the param shreya, avapsyat, you will achieve or attain. So Prabhupada writes, I'll read, the demigods being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, and thus by cooperation, parasparam, between men and demigods, prosperity will reign. So this is again, we are in this Karma Kanda section where Krishna is not talking about absolute truth here or about himself, not about Bhakti Yoga. It's just talking how you can live happily in this world. And how you can do that? If you have a cooperative attitude towards the demigods. And then we see from the Govardhan Leela, pre-Govardhan Leela, I should say, Indra Yagya example. So they were doing the sacrifices for the pleasure of Indra, and Indra was reciprocating to them. Now let's see what happens next. So Krishna is continuing the same thought patterns. Who has not? Kanishka Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Istan bhogan hi vo deva.
Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva.
Dasyante yagna bhavitaha.
Dasyante yagya bhavitaha.
Te danta apratayebhyo.
Ter dattan aparadebhyo.
Yumte stena eva saha.
Mukte stena eva sa.
In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods being satisfied by the performance of yagna will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief.
Thank you, Mataji. So previous verse was saying you should live with the demigods in matter of cooperation. So here is saying Istan Bhogan hi vo deva. So if you worship these demigods. So they will give you Istan Bhogan. Bhogan refers to, sense gratificatory things. Istan means whatever your core desires are. These devtas will give you dasante. Dasante refers to giving. Yagya bhavita. So if you do yagya for the pleasure of the demigods, they will give you that. But if you don't do that, you're saying yo bhukte sten evasa. If you don't, aparadebhya refers to if you do not give them yagya, for example, you do not give them share, what will happen? Istena word is used in Bhagavatam as well, many times in Ramayana as well. Isten refers to chor, thief. So if you don't give the yagya bhag or necessary yagyas for a particular demigod, you are considered a thief. So basically, we are not doing our part by living in this material world, because demigods are doing so many things for us, like sunlight is coming, moonlight is coming, Mother Earth is doing so many things. We are taking air all the time. So all these things creates a debt on us. So if you don't reciprocate on that particular principle, then the debt accumulates on us and we become a thief. Prabhupada gives a simple example. If you don't pay your water bill, Sydney Water will cut off the water supply, isn't it? They will give you some notices, 1 or 2 notices, your account is due, overdue, red notice, and then legal action and whatever, but they will cut you. But Surya never cuts the light of the Surya, right? But the expectation is, as created by Krishna, you do something for Surya, you do something for Mother Earth, you do something for trees. But again, we understand from Krishna conscious perspective, if we water the root of the tree, which is Krishna, then all the leaves are satisfied. But the principle still remains. What is the principle? We have to reciprocate. Prabhupada said, even if you take in 1 cent of anyone, if you don't return appropriately, we get a debt. And if you don't pay the debt in this life, you have to come back and pay multiple times. My Nanaji used to say, never, ever, ever have even 1 cent of anyone. He will say 1 paisa of anyone on your head. And you don't know when you're going to die. So he said, as soon as you get a debt, please remove it immediately, as soon as possible. Because even unintentionally, if the debt remains on your head, you have to pay it back in next life with multiple interest. So many people take others' property. They think, oh, who is watching? Nothing is happening. No. There are lots, 22 people. If you read in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3, as per Yamaraj, 12 demigods are watching all the time. So everything. So there are 12 CC cameras. What this little CC camera will watch. So we think if the camera is not catching us, it's all right. We all do. When the camera comes, we put the speed down of the car. But when the camera, we go under 60, very smooth and soft. It's a 50 zone or 40 zone, 930 school zone. We go very, very soft within that, as if we are so great people. As soon as the camera is out, we all drive, 80 or 100. But Krishna's cameras are everywhere. Krishna's cameras are not just, on few streets. They are everywhere. So we are getting watched. This is how Krishna has arranged. So if we are getting watched, we are accountable for our actions and we have to pay it back. So why do something where we have to pay in negative? So we try to do positive, and again, where we fail, we pray to Krishna. We pray to our spiritual master and say, we are failing in this activity. Please help me. How can I overcome this? And by their blessings, we can overcome on our weaknesses. Okay, Ujjwala Mataji has a question.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah,
Hare
I just,
Krishna.
as you mentioned, to give the debt, we have to come back to this earth again and pay the money to whoever we owe, or whatever we may owe, we have to give it back. But what happens if it's the reverse? Like, sometimes people forget to give you the money, or they may not, so in that case also, because you don't want to remind them about the money, it feels bad, especially the devotees, you may feel bad. So in that case, do we have to come back again even to collect
No.
that, whatever is remaining?
Okay, His Holiness Bhakti Rasan Maharaj gives answer. Even Radhanath Maharaj also gives this answer very nicely. If someone harms us in whatever way, in terms of finances, in terms of physical or emotional, if someone insults us, we should always remember that I may have insulted this person in the past, and today he's taking his account back. So we should never think that I will have to come back. So let's remind him to give me my $100 back. No, we should think maybe he has taken me from, I have taken him from the past, and now he has taken my money and he's not willing to give it back. So many times in many situations, not only finances, so many things happen in our life, but When someone else owes us the money or anything else, we should forgive him and forget it. Now, again, if you're doing a business, you cannot be forgetting and forgiving. Obviously, you have to put a proper appropriate notice. But internally, I'm talking a principle. Externally, you do what you need to do. Prabhupada also said the same thing. You do what you need to do. That means materially, whatever the state laws are there, you have to fight a court case and all that. You do that. Prabhupada also fought so many court cases. But the principle I'm talking in our mind, we should not be thinking, no, let's clear it up. So Krishna said, I'm trying, but I should not be accountable for anyone's 1 cent on my death. I should not be. Huh? Similar goes for insults. I should not insult anyone. If someone insults, no problem. Man upman, it happens. It happens. Someone will understand you. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone will praise you. Someone will not praise you. It just happens. So I should not be affected by that. But I should not personally do that for the other person. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Actually, I just want to clarify that so like Mataji said, okay, also that if we are forgiving them, then it's we are the one who are forgiving them, the person who has maybe not returned our money or whatever. So we should not, in that case, we should not be the one that owing anyone or is in debt of anyone. So actually, I want to ask, in terms of these natural disasters and everything. So and the weather. So like I don't know, I'm just not able to comprehend that. Say like Australia is one of the having most droughts. At the moment, we're having floods. So many. So is that meaning that we have not repaid the demigods in that way, and they are
yes,
giving out all these?
Prabhupada said that, Mataji, what you're saying is correct. Prabhupada said because man is living without yajna, that's why mankind is suffering. And not only not doing yajna, which is a positive activity, they are doing negative activity. And Prabhupada said, till the time even 1 drop of blood of a cow is falling on the earth, human society can never be peaceful. Prabhupada said that. Even 1 drop of cow blood falls on the earth, 1 drop. Now you can imagine how many thousands of cows getting slaughtered. Human society can never be happy. So first, they are not doing a positive activity, and second, they are doing negative activity. Huh? So definitely, human society cannot be peaceful. So you're right. And now, Prabhupada also mentioned one thing very nicely, because devotees are chanting Hare Krishna. This is up to an extent pacifying the human society. So if you chant Hare Krishna alone or in a group, actually you are helping other people who are cow killers and wine drinkers and whatnot. You're actually helping them, because your chanting is not only for your purification, you're also chanting for all the jivas. Haridas Thakur will chant 64 rounds for all the jivas, 64 rounds. Now, how many of us chant 64 Maha mantras for others? Yesterday, I went to some devotee's house and I was teaching kids this shloka. Sarve bhavantu sukhna, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhagve. So we have learned this shloka in our childhood. So we should pray. We should pray for all the jivas. In a Krishna conscious way, when you take the arti, you should say to Krishna, I'm taking this arti for all the jivas of the 3 worlds. When you're doing Tulsi Parikrama, you should remember all the jivas. They are sinful, they are pious, they are enemy, they are your friend. You should pray for everyone. You should say, Tulsi Rani, I'm doing this parikrama of yours, not just my parikrama. This should be considered by you as a parikrama of all the jivas of the whole world. Every day we should do this. That's how we are pacifying other jivas. We are helping. Otherwise, what are we doing? Just being selfish in devotional life. And that will not work. My Guru Maharaj says, when you help others, then the mercy will come. When you help yourself, it's all right. You help others. You help others. Just whatever you have 1 chapati, share that 1 chapati. Don't say, oh, I'll be hungry. Yes, you will be hungry anyway in 1 chapati. You have half chapati, share. Ranti Dev, he shared everything. He shared everything. Now, we are not Ranti Dev, but the principle is whatever you have, little bit, you share, you share, you share. And by giving, you will receive. This is the principle. On our own endeavor, we can never become devotee. It's just not possible. Just by helping others, little bit, whatever. And Radha Govind Maharaj says, when you pray for others, you cannot remove their suffering. He says that if you just pray for them from your heart, Krishna likes it. Krishna likes it. I literally love this point. He said, Krishna likes it. Now, how many times I please Krishna, I don't know in a day, but few things here and there. I can pray for others. That will please Krishna. That's it. That's my hope. That's my hope. Please Krishna, please Krishna. That's our goal. How are we pleasing Krishna? On our own, very difficult. We don't have any quality chanting, quality devotional service, quality lifestyle. We don't have much to offer to Krishna. But at least we can pray for others. Krishna will be pleased just by your prayers. You cannot remove the suffering of the cows and other jivas. Pray for them every day, 3 times a day, 5 times a day. Krishna will be pleased with you. And then what he does, how he does, that's up to him. We have no control over that. Is that okay?
So yes, Prabhuji. So basically, like say for now, so many people are suffering with this excessive floods, flood zone areas. So we can just pray for them and just say that, you know, whatever,
Yes.
even if there are like some devotees in Molamba, yeah. So we can just
Definitely. What you speak of devotees, Mataji, I'm saying pray for everyone. If this group of say 15 devotees or 20 devotees pray for all the jivas, do you think like Krishna will not hear? Why not? Now, how he reciprocates, that's up to Krishna. He is Swarat. He is fully independent. But the point I liked, and I shared that, Radha Gundmana said, Krishna will be pleased with your prayers. That's my target is. That's it. Krishna will be pleased with my that little prayer. Why not? Why not? While taking Aarti, how long does it take? You're taking Aarti anyway. You can say, Krishna, all the trillions of jivas suffering in the material world, just consider they are taking Aarti. When you do pranam, you can just think about all the jivas. It doesn't take any extra time, but Krishna will be pleased. That's it. Our job is done. Our job is done. Our Krishna is pleased with our little activity. And we can all do that throughout the day. Why just me, Tulsi Parikrama, Yani Kani Chapa Pani Brahmatya? Why just for me? Why not for everyone? Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Sumit Prabhuji or Sonia Mataji?
Prabhuji, I have 2 questions.
Yes,
So the first one is like when we were mentioning about Agni, Prabhuji, that we are offering it through Agni. And if we want to thank to all the demigods and in like by thanking Krishna for whatever we have, and if we want to show our gratitude towards Krishna for everything we have, we are not doing it through Agni, Prabhuji. We are, if like as a grahastha, we are just doing it in our heart. So would it still be considered?
Mataji, you're also doing yajna for Krishna. It says by chanting Hare Krishna, you're doing yajna. It says, I think it's by Jiva Goswami or Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, I can't remember. Your jeeb, your tongue is the ladle. Ladle is like a spoon, where you're putting the Krishna name as Ahuti, and then putting the Ahuti in your heart. When you chant, ideally speaking, and when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is a yajna actually. Sri Prahlad Prabhu explained in the class in Sydney. Chanting Hare Krishna is a yajna. So when you're chanting Krishna's holy name, when you're serving Krishna's family, when you're serving Krishna's body, which is say your body at the moment, you are actually doing yajna all the time. So you are supremely thanking all the demigods in a supreme auspicious way. You're representing a principle here. So definitely you're thanking already.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And the other question is, when we were talking about, taking a debt or giving a debt. So I have a question, Prabhuji. When we are giving present to someone out of love, without having expectation, somebody would return to us out of love. If we give it to someone, then what happens? Like, what is the result of that? Is it okay, or are we still collecting debt for the other person, or what's happening?
As I said, when we give away, it says when we give donation, the right hand should not know the left hand donation. If you have given donation from left hand, for example, right hand should not know. Your shadow should not know you have done donation. So what we speak of a gift, you have given a gift from your heart to someone. That's fine. This your love. You're giving your love and give a prasad. Mostly speaking, it can be a toy as a prasad, and give a toy, Krishna conscious toy. Why not? So when you give away, you give away. You should not even discuss about it ever. So you have given it away from your heart, your love to a child or to any other person. That's fine. So there's nothing returning back. Now what he or she does with it, That's up to them. And that's why 18th chapter will talk about dan as well. There can be 3 types of dan: dan in mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you should not be doing dan in mode of goodness or passion, at least in goodness. Best is pure goodness, Krishna conscious way. You offer prasadam. And the prasadam can be in the form of an object. That's fine. Now I'm looking at Sumit Prabhu and 9 o'clock. We might be
Prabhu, in that sense, like
it's only 2 minutes left. The meeting will end.
We will join back again. So please just reminding, we'll join back and we'll finish it nicely. Okay, please continue, Sonia Mataji, if you have.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Someone else also said something.
yeah, Prabhu, in that sense, in nectar of instruction, it's a loving exchanges, giving gift and then it's accepting gift. It's permitted, isn't it?
You give from your heart. You don't expect anything back. You bring a nice gift from Vrindavan for your devotee friend. That's it. There's nothing much. Now, what he reciprocates with that, that's up to him. He gives you back another gift. He gives you nice, kind words. Thank you, Mataji, for bringing me, remembering me. This is a blessing. I remember one devotee went to some South India Yatra and he got me a photo of Lord Ram. Probably 15, 18 years ago. I still have it on my altar. Every time I see Lord Ram, I remember that devotee. It's just a small photo, very small photo. But, he got that photo for me. I still remember him every day. So it's not a big thing, or he got a little photo for me of Lord Ram. He remembered me. I'm very grateful to him. How can I repay that photo? But it's very nice, very nice. Okay, Uchula Samataji.
Sorry, Prabhuji, can we reconnect because it's going to get disconnected in time?
Okay, Hare Krishna. Last time.
Yes.
Which is causing reaction? Or is it the collective karma of so many people as well?
It's a collective karma, Prabhuji. So any collective activity where lots of jivas suffer, they are called as group karma. So they all come together at that particular spot. For example, tsunami came on a particular coastal area. So many visitors were also there. So they say by their karma, they all come at one place and nature responds in wholesale. That's what they call it, in wholesale reaction. So it happens. It happens all the time. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else had anything before we disconnected? If not, okay. If not, let's move.
I had another, sorry, one question actually just came. When you mentioned the one, sometimes, you out of your good heart, we also exchange gifts, or we also give gifts out of, good intention, good heart, but they're not necessarily Krishna conscious gifts though. So what in that?
See, our culture is Krishna conscious. So if you maintain the culture, the principle, how you express that can vary. But again, the principle should be maintained. Me giving this gift to this person should be, for him or her, be remindful of Krishna. That's the principle. Now, if that is not maintained, we are not following the process. Sorry. We should be very careful in exchanging the gifts amongst devotees, and it's a big topic, but in general, the principle of this gift should remind more of Krishna to this person. That's it. It can be anything. It can be anything. Now, that will vary from male, female, young, old, all that thing, but how I'm helping this person to improve his Krishna conscious life. That question we should ask before buying the gift. That's it. Then you'll get the answer. Which gift I should give to this person. It's okay. It's a principle. Details can be, it will vary situation to situation. Rasan and Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, on this verse number 9, it is said, if you are offering the sacrifice to Vishnu, there is no bondage. Whereas here in the verse number 12, now again we are trying to offer to the demigods. Now, will that have bondage?
But he enjoys the gift. So Prabhuji, yeah. So as I said, that verse is talking about Vishnu, which is pure devotional service. And obviously in exchange to Vishnu, there's no karma bandhan. When you're doing demigods, you are in sort of a karma bandhan. Prabhupada translate that cycle of karma yoga as bhakti yoga. But technically speaking, if you're just living for demigods, for example, there will be pious and impious exchanges, technically speaking. Is that okay? Yeah. But Prabhupada, because he's talking in a devotional term, so he's just talking as a big cycle here from G. And we'll see how this cycle unfolds in the verse 13 to 16 or something. I can't remember the exact number, but the 4 verses will talk about that cycle, how Krishna has created for all the jivas to live in a happy situation in the world, which is not talking about absolute truth as yet. Krishna is not talking about himself, Bhakti Marg and all that, which we're in a Karma Yoga section. We are talking about activities here. But the activities which are auspicious, which brings prosperity to the jiva. Okay, let's do one more verse, which is a very, very, sorry, Prabhu, you're saying something?
No, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, let's do last verse, which is the most famous verse. Every kid knows this one, 313, and then we will stop our class. Who will do this? Who has not done? Bhakti Vijaya Mataji?
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anyone else say?
Yagnasishtasina santo Munchate sarva kilbishai Bunjate tva agham papa Ye pachantyatma karmana karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyments verily eat only sin.
So this is the famous verse which we respond to why we should eat prasad only. Why even vegetarian food is not considered giving some reactions. Although Prabhupada said, what is the big deal in being vegetarian? Even a monkey is a vegetarian, pigeon is a vegetarian, but that doesn't make them necessarily a devotee. And Prabhupada said, we are not vegetarians, we are Krishnatarians.
We're Krishnatarians.
We are Krishnatarians. We live for the pleasure of Krishna. So this is that verse which devotees talk about, and then we have another verse, 926, Patra Pushpam Phalam Toyam. So this verse basically what is talking about the similar thing which Krishna has spoken earlier, the principle of yajna. So yajna refers to obviously a yajna, again a principle of yajna. It can be a physical yajna as well. Shishta, so shishta refers to remnants of yajna. So what is remained in the yajna? So if you have seen any yajna in say our temple, when the yajna is done, the pujari or the priest will offer you some fruits, isn't it? So he will keep the fruits around the yajna, some bananas and apples and whatnot. And at the end, he will distribute to everyone. He will give a little tilak, black tilak. That is considered yajna shishta, what is remaining on the yajna. Now the banana which you offered in the agni, in the fire, the Purnahuti, they call it Purnahuti, that's not been offered back because that's Purnahuti is done. And then whatever remains, that whatever Agni fire has not accepted, that goes to us. So again, as a principle, if you take that, we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think it was Raghav Pandit, son, when Raghav Pandit was away, he asked his son to do offering to the deities. So every day, Raghav Pandit will do the offering. My name may be wrong here, I'll be honest. Anyway, for Raghav Pandit or some other great devotee. So he was a very, very great Vaishnava. He will do offering every day to the deities. But once he was a doctor, so he had to go out for a couple of days. So he called his son, 7-8-year-old son, Beta, you need to do offering every day. I'm away for next 3 days. So, and he said, without offering to Krishna, without feeding to Krishna, do not accept anything. And this little boy, 7-year-old, what does he know about the technicality? He took the plate from the mother. He went in front of Krishna and said, Krishna, please accept. And obviously, Krishna's acceptance criteria is a little different. We can't see from our eyes. And this boy would not come back. And he said, Krishna, you have not taken the bhoga. And he will just be so insisting. And finally, it said, long story short, Krishna had to come right in front of him, sit and eat the whole plate. And the boy was very happy. He did the second day, same thing, third day, same thing. And the fourth day, when Papa came back, he asked the boy, are you doing offering? He said, yes, I'm doing, just in a casual way, he said. But the mother was very disturbed. And what was the complaint of mother? This boy takes the whole bhoga plate, but brings the empty plate back and tells, Krishna has eaten. Now, the boy was right, actually. The mother was disturbed. Mother was thinking, maybe, my boy is eating on the way. So mother complained to the father, and father said, my dear boy, you're a good boy. Why are you eating the bhoga of Krishna? He said, no, I'm not eating. Krishna is eating. And he said, no, it's not possible. He said, no, you only told me to feed Krishna. I'm feeding Krishna. And then father behind the curtain is said, asked the boy to offer again. And that day also boy offered and Krishna came and ate. Boy did Dandavat Pranam to his son. And when next time they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu internally know everything. So he asked, so who is the father, who is the son? So father said to the son, he is my father. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you look like a father, he looks like a son. But he said, in devotion, he is my father. I am the son. I could not do what he could do. Huh? So that's the principle. So great devotees, a little boy, 6-year-old boy, could invite Krishna and sort of with love force Krishna to eat right in front of him, the whole plate. Huh? And whatever was left, what was left? Zero. And mother was worried. Huh? So the principle of yajna. So when we offer, obviously, we don't see our Laddu Gopal coming and eating right in front of our eyes. But the principle is, if we offer with love and devotion, Krishna accepts. Krishna accepts. And whatever is left, so if you offer 4 chapatis, Krishna eats 3. 1 is left. What you're supposed to take, that 1 chapati. That is called yajna shishta. The remnants of the yajna, Vishnu, yajna has taken. And whatever Santa refers to your devotees, if they take that, muchante word refers to get rid of. So you see in Draupadi, when Ashwatthama was brought before Draupadi, bound in ropes, and Draupadi was asked, what do you want to do? The first thing Draupadi said, muchante. That means, please release, please release, please release. She could not see Ashwatthama being bound in ropes. She was very soft-hearted Vaishnavi. So Santo, the devotees, always eat yajna, and by doing that, what will the result? So first line is the process, second is the result. Muchante sarva kilbishai. Kilbishai refers to pap, sin. Sarva refers to all. So by doing that, by eating yajna, what happens? All the pap, we get rid of all the pap. All the pap. Even the vegetables have pap, actually they have pap. But if you do yajna, if you offer to Lord Vishnu and then accept, all the pap is gone. Otherwise, what happens? Atma Karanat, you see this word here, Atma Karanat means for our sake. So the other people who do not offer, they just eat for their sake. Ye pachanti. Pachanti is a Hindi word. Yeah? So they digest, or you can say they eat for their own reason, for their selfish reason. Bhujjate, what are they eating? To agham papa. Papa and agha. Actually, agha refers to pap. There's a demon called Aghasur. Aghasur means pap personified. So agha means pap, and here saying agham and papa, actually double pap. Pap is square, you can say. Lot of pap basically. So if they are eating for themselves, all they are eating is pap. So again, reading Prabhupada. So if you're eating yajna shishta, if you're reading remnants of the yajna, you are not getting any sinful reactions. But if you're not doing that, what you're eating, agham papa. So devotees of the Lord, which is Santo, Santa is a Hindi word. Devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins, muchante sarvakil bishai, because they eat food which is offered first for the sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment, verily eat only sin. Okay, it's 9:14. If there's any quick question, I'll take. Otherwise, we'll stop the class here. Looks like no more questions. So, so we'll continue from next week, Wednesday, 7 o'clock. From this point onwards, 3:14. Quick announcement, which I said earlier in the class. We're trying to make a rule for this class. So if no video on, there will not be taken any attendance. You will be marked as absent. So please switch your video on throughout the whole class. And our meeting blocked at 7:10 or 4:10, whatever the class timings are. So please join on time. Otherwise, you will not be able to join the class. I hate making rules. I'm sorry, but I'm making it so that everyone can benefit, so that we can continue at least this reading of Prabhupada books together once in a week, 2 hours, dedicatedly. And if you have any problems and emergency comes, please write message. There is no problem. We all are humans. We are grahasthas, so we'll have some other situations, but that should not be standard. So please keep in your mind. And also, second chapter is finished, so you can do the assignment 6th of July, by end of July. That would be nice. If you could all submit your assignment. Again, it's very straightforward. So one essay, which you can choose whatever you like. Out of those 10 questions, you already done 1. So out of 9, you can choose 1. And the questions given for the second chapter, probably 13 questions are there. They're not much, straightforward. Short answers are enough. And formatting should be as per your first assignment, which you all have submitted earlier. Okay, any questions, please ask me offline. Okay, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanand.
Jai.
So next week we'll meet again online on 13th of July, 7 o'clock. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,